Everybody to the 83rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. It's Thursday, October 15th, 2015. And today we're here again with Mr. Keshe, and I'm sure he's got things to announce about the upcoming event tomorrow on Friday, which is the third World Ambassadors meeting, and it's going to be a very big event in the Keshe Foundation's history, I believe. So we'll carry on with the workshop today. Go ahead, Mr. Keshe.
Good morning. Good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this program. As we always try to cover what is developing around the foundation and technologies around the foundation. Today, we have a few, or maybe one announcement to make, and then we see how we go and the way we go. As all of you, most of you are aware, the program of tomorrow, on the 16th of October, with the third World Ambassador meeting, is a crucial point, not only for the foundation, but a crucial point for what has been the cornerstones of human life, energy. In this presentation, we don't show anything that most of the knowledge seekers don't know about, but we open it to public in a way that humanity understands there is a huge change on the way. You got to understand one of the prime or one of the most important things is with every new change is going to be resistance. We have already seen the resistance from governments who do not want, which do not want to see this technology surfaces in the, on the scenery. We expect certain amount of resistance, misconduct by some people, because this is the way they confirm their existence. But on the other hand, we cannot keep 7 billion because of a few handful of people of what we call terrorists. They're embedded in different countries. We know them. We know who they are. Some of them have already opened their hands. And there is a dilemma in the background between Team Keshe Foundation. What are we going to do with the presentation tomorrow? We have a number of ambassadors. We have a number of representative embassies. NATO and EU have boycotted as usual, as we were expecting. And on the other hand, there are a number of leading agencies in energy and in space, and people from religious organizations who want to see this technology to reach their followers around the world, that we have to keep satisfied. That we can deliver a technology that helps the humanity in a secure way without being worried about a few number of terrorists. They come under different banners. There's a discussion. Are we going to announce the position of the event? Or we keep it as it is secure, that we keep 3 or 4 people from China, Belgium, and other countries to arrive, like last time, to barge in. The point is, we have made a safety security net around the presentation, as usually with these high levels. Everyone who's attending has been secured lock, which means without coded pass, you cannot get in. Are we going to allow 3 or 4 terrorists to bother us, to stop the rest of humanity to receive the knowledge and the technology, or we confront them? My idea is to confront them. We've seen them, they open different panels, different chat lines, trying to do what they wanted to do, and now we know what they're up to and what is behind it. So, the point is very clear. We have set up a plan. By the end of today, or sometime this morning, you will decide what you want to do. Not us, because Keshe Foundation people who come here on these lines, live stream and Zoom, we give you a voice. What you see is the right thing to do. We disclose the point of the meeting, or we announce a separate point in Rome on Saturday for people to meet. You got to realize most of the Saturday we are tied up on a back-to-back meetings for the people who attend the conference. They come from all over the world. They are dignitaries, they are members of the cabinets, they are members of parliament. There are members of different organizations who want to take technology further. So it leaves us only Saturday afternoon. As we said, we can meet, as we've done before, at the Vatican Square. Or, as we have received a collaboration from Vatican, we meet somewhere in Vatican. But that does not help us, does not bring the reality that something has to be in a correct way. Is the correct way to expose ourselves to assassination attempt by the Belgian government in that meeting, as they've done before, and we've seen their agents putting signs and websites everywhere? Or do we stand secure and carry on with the work? We discussed this just before we come on with Rick and with Vince, and we've been discussing it the past few hours and last night with different people who we take advice to. But what I said, we'll leave it to you. You decide, you coming all the way to Rome to be there, is it worth it to put everything at risk? Or do we go to the next step? And we open up, but nobody can come in. You can just come to outside the hotel. And it's all been allocated. So anybody can't barge in. You can't just come in. And secondly, we have employed armed officers for protection. Italian police is aware of the danger, and the security services of Italy this time are fully armed to be facing any action. We made sure of that very clearly because of the ambassadors. So, do we let you to come to the conference outside, and do we allow you to decide the future of the technology, which is yours, not mine? To be dealt this way, it should be a point of separation, a celebration, and not separation. But we've seen how Belgian terrorist organization has infiltrated us for years, and now they are sitting there and they're giving their indication what they're up to. We're monitoring everything in the background. So we leave it to you to decide. By tonight, by this afternoon, by the end of this session, we'll make a decision. You make a decision. On the other hand, the point is, we give only 30 units tomorrow to world ambassadors and the representatives of different organizations which come, and different representatives who are flying out to different presidents around the world to take with. The reason for this is we spoke with a number of advisors in government level in different countries. They think giving the world leaders a month, 2 months, 3 months will make no difference if you give them 10 days. We've seen them with a USB stick. They sat on the key. They set their scientists to work on it in the background. And for 2 years, nothing was released. Till scientists in Taiwan, which received it from his government, released it, and we went with them. In the back of it, we released it worldwide. So what we have come with a conclusion, and it's going to be done this way, there is no alternative to it. We give the units with a blueprint to the governments on tomorrow, and we give them 10 days. They only have 10 days. If they react in 10 days to set the structure of the financial organizations, which is going with the change, is their prerogative. And if they don't do, is their problem in the time to come. So what does this mean is we have come to an agreement with a number of organizations, governments, officials, that on 26th of October, we release the first 1,000 batch. So 30 units will leave with governments, with the officials, and 1,000 units will be released on 26th. That's the first of 1,000 of the orders we have received. Then thereon, we release 10,000 units in the first week of November, 100,000 in the second and the third week. And then we have the facilities to produce up to 300,000 a week by the first week of December. So this raises another point. We have seen the arrogance before, and as once somebody said, why everything has to be free from Keshe Foundation and nobody puts anything in it. Unless we give them something, nobody contributes anything, and it has to be free. I was just discussing with Vince and Rick in the past couple of half an hour or so, and they say a lot of people write that they want their free unit. We decide who we give it to, not you telling us it's your right. You are used to thieving, and now you think thieving is your right to have it. The Keshe Foundation will release thousands of units in where and who we want to release it to. We ship goods from Italy around the world to the governments, to organizations which are affiliated to the Keshe Foundation, and it's our right. Anybody asks, where is my unit? Go and ask, buy it, or get it from your government. It's no one's right to tell us you have to give us. We don't have to. We are generous. We give to what we think and who we think is needy. If somebody can make a trip from halfway, God knows, around Europe to be in Rome to get a free unit, it means you have the money to pay for it too. So you're a thief by nature. So understand, no one can force us. No one can do anything to force the foundation to give units to anyone. We choose. We have started a consultation with religious groups that through their organization, we know the needy and we get to the needy. This being in Africa, this being in Asia, this being in Europe. So anyone who's asking, is my right to have a free unit? My answer to you is, think that way. It's your privilege, but it's not the reality. You live in a dream world. And if you make your way to get one free, it means you have enough money to pay for it, that the others can benefit by it. The other point is, sometime in the next 3 or 4 weeks, we set up a new way of distribution. What does this mean? It means, as you might have seen on the screen, you can ask to be a distributor for the systems. You can ask from manufacturer from the systems, or you can ask to set up Keshe Foundation in your country. Distributors, the emails will be released. The manufacturers, the same and the same. As I explained before, we will, from sometime in November, when we set up manufacturing, we do it this way. You can come up with a finance and your own designs for your country. You can raise the finance and we supply you the technology, what it means, not only the blueprint, the machinery and the systems that you only need more or less the labor force in your country to produce. The reason for this is a lot of people want to do it, but once you start thinking of a design, a lot of people don't have experience to make die cast, make machines to nano coat. All this takes time. This way, we solve the problem. Most probably, the winding of the systems which is to be produced will come from Canada. The system, I've seen the pictures, is beautiful. It needs finishing in the next few weeks. Then the casting of the systems will come from Italy initially, and then from different organizations. Because we buy bulk, we can order 30, 40 casts for different organizations. We can get a better rate that we can put on. The other option, which we have exercised in Italy, is this. The Keshe Foundation finances the totality, which means we put in the finances for all the systems, we put the finances of setting companies, we put all the finances to do everything we need to do. And in that position, we come to a very nice agreement that we finance, we take 51%, and the people in the nation at maximum 3% shareholding become the shareholders of the company in the nation. So people who set up the Keshe Foundation Manufacturing, maximum shareholding is 3%. And the way we work is that the reason we take 51%, it means we stay in control and in charge of the company. It's income that we can return the totality back to public in giving system, developing system, creating jobs. So whatever we finance, we sit in the control system like in Italy at 51%, is to control that the company cannot be sold out in the future. And secondly, as the financiers and the decision makers, we make sure everything goes through the system, that the knowledge and the technology and the institutes behind it gets developed. The ones who want to be distributors, we do the same with you. If you want to be a distributor, you go online, you register, you order numbers you need, we look at the total distribution worldwide, and for the time being in Italy, in the coming weeks, most probably in Germany, France, and UK, will set up manufacturing sites. UK system is already set up. The German and the French, we are in the process of negotiation to complete, where we stay at 51% shareholding. So we own 51% share of the company as Keshe Foundation, and it allows us to dictate everything. People who come to be able to be part of it, then they have to decide. There is a big problem. Why we set our scene, our manufacturing in locations in Germany, in France, in Belgium. We won't do any investment in Italy, in England. We will finance in Holland because we are a Dutch-based organization. And we allow the immediate supporters who've been around us to run these things. So we start creating and increasing the number of people who work and live through the foundation. Then it comes a very big point. Where and how we distribute the profits which we make in a way that does not stay in one country only. Out of, let's say, 50 nations in Africa, roughly, 45% do not have the capability of manufacturing. They don't have a know-how. They've been robbed for years. They took the most strongest as a slave, then they took their wealth as stealing their mines and their natural minerals. So what we're doing is we're putting the books right. We send directly from our manufacturing distribution centers on a full transparent to African nations. We send at least 1-to-1 units to Africa till we bring Africa in a point that every African, the way as you have in Europe, has a connection to electricity and water. This is the target. We see a huge production line and we support it. So we know from this month we'll be employing 300 people in Italy because they're making the units. By January, we employ 3,000 Italians in the structure of the Keshe Foundation. We become one of the major employees in this country. But the only way we use our power is to help needy in Italy, needy in Africa, and nothing for greedy. So this is the way. If you want to be a distributor, don't come that you become a millionaire. You come to make a good life, but we allow you to distribute. We control the distribution, that for what is sold, what you sell, continuously parallel units are distributed around the world to the others which your forefathers have abused in the West. So understand, we are not giving you an energy unit. We are bringing a position that through energy, we bring most of the balance back. So if you want to be a manufacturer, you can choose. If you want to be a distributor, you can choose. Understand something very important. Last night we had a meeting with Marco, Arman, and a couple of other people here. And the problem is what and how we are allowing a system like this to come into the market so rapidly. If we do not do, then we will not be able to set this process for what is the main target at the spaceship program. So what you're going to get as units are the original basic. You'll find out the units will change even on a weekly or a monthly basis. You might get a what they call a version 1. In 2 weeks' time, we develop a new technology, a new system, which makes it more efficient, more powerful. From that day, everybody gets system 2. We don't announce it. We have changed the system. If you remember original pictures on the website, that's what you're supposed to have. If you're still there, you have a system with reactors and everything else. It was too costly, and so I developed a system that we got rid of it. And now what you see, it has become such a compact. This is the original system as you've seen in the hand of people. Now it weighs 900 grams. Now it has a 2 kilowatt resistive capacity. What this means is heating maximum 2 kilowatts. Since this was built, we developed a further system, which means by the time you get your first system, we move up to 3 to 4 kilowatts. But there is a limit. Resistive power is 2 kilowatts or 3 kilowatts because it will be tested in production. So you can have as much as DC as you like. But if you put resistive material like a heater, 2 kilowatts is your time. Arman ran a test here 2 nights ago, running the heater with this for whole night, warming up the lab to confirm it works and everything else, and running other DC systems. And when he went over the limit, which introduced it to really 6 to 7 kilowatt resistive, the system stopped. Because you have to understand the reason. The reason is not the fault of the system. The reason is the way our technology at the moment is working. We'll explain this tomorrow in the presentation in more detail. At the moment, you have a DC, which is, if you go in kilowatts, it's tens, hundreds of kilowatts of DC. So it can continuously supply. When you put a resistive load on it, you're trying to get such a pressure through a needle. This is this which causes the heating of the system. What we got to do, what we are doing now in our support system development, we are developing a system that we don't use resistive, we use DC plasma heaters. Then you can use as much as you like. It's getting tested now. So we have to develop new technologies. And we are doing it. The Keshe Foundation in the background, we are financing a lot of research, a lot of people who know, understand, working in the background. We don't release any more names because we've seen people attacking them, people approaching them, threatening them, and everything else. So after what happened to Alex, I have set up a group of scientists in the background who are working on the full payment of the Keshe Foundation, and they are developing new systems. So when you see the heating, you say 2 kilowatt, is because the system puts such a heavy pressure, plasma release, and then you put a trap on it. That causes a backlog, which creates the heating. At the same time, all the systems have a heating triggering. So what it means, if you overload it, system switches off. You've got to leave it for half an hour, 2 hours. When it cools down, you go back using it. It does not blow out. If you abuse it, which means you overload it, your system will take the load. Understand what happens. Because it's plasmatic, you put overloading, in a way you tighten the thing, the plasma will nano-coat your system. And in your system, the energy finds a huge cross, but the material is not nano-coated so fast, your system fails. If you introduce it very slowly, that you can nano-coat your systems over weeks, you find out most of the systems can handle. You nano-coat through plasma while you are using the system. One of the first things you learn with this system is you won't get the result. It's not a system you plug in and you draw. You plug in your system, you allow it, depending on the amount of DC you bring in, to nano-coat your lining in the system. So what you see, let's say 150 watt DC system, you connect it to the circuit, and you will see it to become, this is your DC. You won't see immediately reduction on your meter that there is no current flow. Your power supply is disconnected. It will go down over days to 0. Because as the line gets nano-coated, now the energy transfer is through the nano-coating, not the matter state of the copper. So when you get your systems, you understand that you will take time, depends on the amount of DC power you use to nano-coat your system, that the transmission comes from the plasma, not from your AC grid. It's a new technology. You have to understand it. It's not a new tool. We don't give you a generator. It's a power supply. So you understand, you're dealing with plasma. Man learned how to go from a donkey to a car. Now the AC system is a donkey. To go to a car, you can't match. A car does 200-300 kilometers. Doesn't matter how much you feed the donkey, we will not be able to do it. AC present system is a donkey system. It's the slow system. It's hugely consuming a lot of energy in fuel, whatever, to create it, but it does not deliver. Efficiency is too low because now we have access to huge plasma. It's us who have to go through the evolution of the technology. This is an industrial revolution, not a power unit. This is the beginning of the change, not only for energy, but it's a total new industrial revolution for everything the man needs and calls energy. From this unit, you will see tomorrow we explain in more detail. You can have food, you can create materials, you can create motion. So You got to understand, we are not giving you a power supply. This is not a generator. It's called, and it's on it when you receive it, MAGRAV power system, magnetic and gravitational system. So be very clear. Those who think I buy a unit and I plug it in tomorrow and my electricity bill goes down, please go somewhere else and fool yourself. You have to understand the technology which is governments are waiting that they receive this unit and they don't need to buy fuel. It'll take about 3 to 6 weeks to nano-code the national grid. Then what you literally need, not a power station, a 10 kilowatt power generator at the beginning of the grid will be able to trigger the rest over time. You switch down power stations week by week as you see the consumption drops. What you do, what will happen to national governments is very simple. This is the structure. Now that we are at the verge of releasing, we'll explain this in totality more, and you might hear it twice by tomorrow. You have a number of power stations around the country. And at the moment, you call them national grid, and you feed everything through. Now, here you burn fuel, you burn whatever, coal, you have power generators, you have nuclear power generators, and the rest to fill, and all you do is you supply alternative current through the grid. This alternate current is why we connect the unit into the wall or into the power supply. We are not looking for the energy, we are looking for oscillation. Because the oscillation triggers the way gravitational magnetic field goes from a stronger field to the weaker field. So it creates a demand, but this is strong here, weak here. But in plasma condition, this is an electron vibration, but the plasma electron vibration in a spectrum of plasma is a little dot at the bottom. So what you're going to get, we are not connecting into the power supply in the grid to take energy. We are connecting to create plasma insulation. You literally can go and take, in cases, the plastic cover of your wire and just throw it in the bin. Because once it's nano-coated, it's a better insulation than the plastic coating. This is a new generation. We've shown this by connecting wires to different supplies, twisting it, and seeing how the light goes. I've done this for years, so you understand. Belgium Nuclear confirmed 20 megawatts. Originally, with the facilities we had in
mega ohms, sorry.
Mega ohms, yeah. 4 to 5, because now we see more of it. So your plastic insulation becomes history of the past. Your nano coating becomes your present superconductor. You just needed to keep it together. You use the wire as a process. So you got to realize this is a change of the course for humanity from energy point of view. So what we do when you connect the plug in, you're not looking for energy, you're looking for oscillation that excites and triggers the plasma to release it. But once you do that, when you have thousands and thousands and thousands of mini power unit, MAGRAV power unit, they in turn just take the isolation, and you find out they do their own supply. So governments, one by one, in the next 6 months, start shutting down power stations. That's where the change will come. Because only thing you need to do is to put a signal generator, which is gravitational magnetic, not the noise signal. It's a big difference. Huge difference. So then you find out as these increase, the point reaches that we don't need any more of this, because one way or another, they start creating the
Well,
oscillation.
we've already
on the
seen
grid.
this too with our own boxes or with our own experiments that the nano coatings bring in the electricity. So what you're talking about is when you do it over a big distance, it's going to do a lot more.
We do not know what it is. This is why we establish what they call the comments or information from the people who use this. I've used it, it does this too. I used it, it does this too. Don't do because we tell you, only use the system for non-resistive, which is no heater and no brush motors. With brush motor systems like drills, you get 60% reduction. If you're using 1 kilowatt, when the system is fully nano-coated, you pay 0.4%. So, or I should say the wrong way, 40%. The heaters, you go between 3 to 60%. But as long as you keep it below 2 kilowatts of resistive in totality. In time, it will change. As I said, this is a progressive.
What if
release
people purchase more than one system and plug them into each other?
No problem. You have to do it separately. People will come up with different solutions. We are looking at different situations. We, in Keshe Foundation Philippines, Renan and the factory there are going totally different way than we gone. We all come up. It's very much like a car. It will be a power unit. It will be a common name. Everybody will make the Ford, the Fiat, and the rest of it. You make your caravan size, and at the beginning of an industrial revolution. No one to blame, but collectively we progress to a new direction, where we do not need to burn fuel, where we do not need to destroy environments, where when we can connect these units in the car section, we can reduce the emission of poison material into space of this environment, of this earth, that our children can live a better life. So many people every day in China die because of the poison air, which has created the pollution by the motor industry. We have 3 people from the conference going to China. Each one carrying a unit for different section and the regions of China, because in China, once it's produced, we work directly with the governments. We give every access to every knowledge we have. You got to understand one thing. Every day we can put these units in operation faster in China, which costs very little for Chinese to do. We save 1 life. So it's the responsibility. It's the same in Tehran. It's the same in New York. It's the same in every major city in the summertime. The reason being, we add so much carbon that the carbon locks itself with other materials in the air. Now you don't do, the air will change. This is not unusual. This evolution of the change of the air has happened in a different way in 1960s in England. In England, if you lived in 1950s, 60s, if you went out in the winter time and you came back home, you came black, because there was so much wood burned in the chimneys and the coals were not smokeless, or what we call it, without the dirt going in the air, that everything was black. So they brought a new fuel that does not create the smog. And overnight, the problem in London was solved. It's the governments which have to push this technology through. It's the governments who have to make regulations. And very fast, these units come into operation. Because don't forget, they have this time 10 days lead. I spoke with PayPal, I spoke with our bank in past 48 hours, explaining what is going to hit us. They said, we know, we are ready. We know the demand which comes on the PayPal and the bank, and we know you're late by 20, 30 days in delivering because of what you're doing. We are there, we support you. So immediately I received okay from people who handle the financing of the transfers of these technologies financially, and they know. Interesting enough is PayPal immediately brought new system in operation for us, that they can support a lot of things, that make it easier, that we can supply more systems into the hand of people. They reduce the charges immediately. So you see, we work. We spoke with our bankers in Holland, and they know what is to come, and they're sitting there waiting for the surge, that they know by the reducing their costs, transparency in the bank, we can put more units in the hand of people. So we work, we inform government. It's your job to make sure that you understand it, and you don't come back and say, my system got burned, I got damaged, blah, blah, because of your own greed. Understand, we will open a channel on the Keshe Foundation website where you can put your comments about the system, where you can advise each other, where you can advise us. You've done such a thing, you've seen such a thing, it can be changed. On the 5th floor of this building from January comes totally the manufacturing side of the Keshe Foundation. What this means is we develop here, we, what you call it, do the industrial development of it. Immediately on the 5th floor goes in production. So if something comes up, we see it is what we can do. Within days, the product will be in the market across the world through the Keshe Foundations. Because now we have become totally vertical organization, which means at the bottom sits the teaching. On the top comes the development, or people who come up with new development, and immediately we will manufacture and we distribute. Cycle from here reduces to days. We don't send people to the other countries for the knowledge to be grasped from them and then be put away and become the enemies of the foundation. This game is finished. Anyone who's got an idea, you want to develop it, you come in, you get a percentage of the development. If your aim is to be rich with a new development, we bring you here. Or you can work the way I'm doing now with different scientists around the world. You stay at home, you don't need to be tortured of going away. We add your knowledge to the system of any new system, and then if you want a percentage from it, it's yours, it's your right. So you become scientists, you become developers, you become entrepreneurs, and instead of going out and looking for somebody to do it for you, we see a solution, we support the development of the plasma technology, we finance it. The foundation is cash rich. The foundation has no debts, does not stand outside any parameters, and we are supporting ourselves. So when it comes to the production and manufacturing in Africa, finances will come directly from the foundation with the full transparency of European community which we operate in and the receiving nation. The only difference is we don't give it free. The thing is we train people to do it for the nation, but they receive the system too if they don't have it. At the moment, you've seen we have put Benjamin in Ghana. He's teaching, he's a scientist, they're building things. At this moment, Alex is in Nigeria. He's flying back with us tomorrow to take a unit back to Nigeria. The head of the Ghana Space Agency, she hopefully will be with us at the time we start a conference to take the unit back to Ghana that they start producing. She is the head of the Spaceship Institute of Ghana Development, so they're coming themselves to pick up. And then we finance the factory in Ghana. They have found the place they can produce it. For us, it's just putting the casting through that they can produce. Ghana, within the next 2 months, 3 months, will be producing their own system very rapidly, the same as what we do here. But we still have control. We make sure in Ghana, the ones who pay allow the ones who don't have to receive free. So realize what you are receiving. Don't jump and abort it, it doesn't work. If you have a problem, please send it to us, we refund you, because we know even today, in coming days, we cannot meet the demand. We are geared up and we know what's going to happen. Don't forget, tomorrow is not a live stream only on Keshe Foundation. It's covered by full satellite around the world. The presentation estimated will be distributed to 2 billion viewers around the world through different channels of the internet and through what we call satellite system. Yesterday, the people from the International Satellite Organization, they've been in a hotel to make sure there is no disturbances. They can locate directly, that everything can go smoothly. The people in the background see this as an industrial revolution that they want to be part of it. We didn't ask for it. They asked us, can we do it? And it was a gift. As of tomorrow, we are not a Keshe Foundation you find on the website. We become multinational understanding. So you got to realize, again, I repeat, you are not buying a power generator to run your dilapidated AC present system. It's a new change. It's like the time when people were still using candles and oil for light, and gradually the country built a system, put wires in, and house by house became part of the national grid. 100 years ago in Europe, there was no light on the street. People walked around with the candles. So in 100 years, Africa stayed in the same position, but the Western world robbed to develop their own way. Now, an African in Africa will walk with the same light as a man in Europe. There won't be darkness anywhere. It will be the same for everyone, but the beauty of it is, these systems will teach you how they become their food line. We called it energy system. Food is energy. Light is energy. Heating is energy. Water is a form of liquid energy which we take. We just don't drink water for the sake of it, just drinking it. We take energy from it. So these systems, when you plug it in and you put the right system to it, will feed you. Will feed nations in no problem. In the villages of disaster, the system will release this energy as you need. We've seen the operation of this with Alex, we tested it, and it works. You have to create a combination that you cover the full spectrum energy of a human in 24 hours. Most of you have tested CO2 or orange, so that's why you still need to eat, because you cover a small spectrum of it. You have to develop a technology with this that you release the energy from meat, from fish, from bread, from every kind of amino acid, every mineral, then none of you need to eat. And this is getting developed. Arman has started part of the process with Marco downstairs. We are testing it. We show the system for the first time tomorrow. Marwan has worked on it. It's more or less complete. He was running it yesterday. So what we talk about is energy system for humanity in a very direct way. But we've seen the guy who says, I drank CO2, but he still eats because he has satisfied a section of the energy spectrum, for example, of what is needed for his legs and his arm muscles. What about the heart muscle, intestine, brain, and the rest of it? So the next step in development is to create a system which is very much like this, but embeds in it the information of everything man needs. So when the system is out, you put it in the center of a village in Africa. All they need to do is to be in the vicinity of it, could be kilometers away, could be meters away. By passing it, they receive everything. This is how the sun works. Sun radiates all the fields the man needs. Man takes when he needs at the time of his need, depending where he's going to be. So what you will see is a total evolution in structure of the life of a man in a plasmatic condition. We don't say we control it. We ask as many people to produce as many as they can because, as I said, you people in the human race have a huge problem. It's 7 billion. Food, energy, clothing, the way millions and millions of people are working to produce different things, now you can do it much easier. One of the first effects, if the scientists understand how to use this, which they'll do in the coming weeks and months, is total eradication in the coming years of chopping forests and woods. Because if you look and you understand what is to come with this technology, wood itself is amino acid base, but in combination with the other elements. In totality, it has plasmatic, magnetic, gravitational strength. If you can tune to this system which continuously releases the full spectrum, you can make as much wood as you like if you need it for construction. You don't need to chop the trees of the forests to change the condition that you get landslides and change of climate. In time, you will understand what this technology will do. It's so beautiful that nations will embrace it once they see step by step. Tomorrow, we show the first steps. The habit of man is that he has to see things physically to believe it. We show you very little changes that your little mind can be happy with if you're that little-minded, that there is a change, there is a difference. I showed a small change of it to arm in past 2 days. You got to understand. We'll show it tomorrow. I've explained it many times, but you will see it physically, and then it hits you so hard you don't know which way to run with the energy. It will change the course of electronic manufacturing around the world in one whack. You will find price of a lot of electrical goods will drop so drastically. We'll see it. That's the gift for tomorrow's presentation. Remember something. When I was in China a few years ago, they were talking that the government has got fed up of every mobile phone having different adapters, connections, and whatever, because it was taking a lot of national assets for every phone which was getting produced. So they were working, I don't know, I think it's already become a policy. We were told there that one plug has to fit every telephone. That when you buy a mobile phone, you just mobile phone on its own, the plug is universal. People don't understand, but you have 1.4 billion people. They buy, let's say, 200 million telephones a year. You try to save energy and material in selling, let's say, 150 million less plugs. Nation imports material to make 150 million. You buy another machine, it has to go away, and a new one. If you understand this, in tomorrow's presentation, you will understand what we are about to show. The changes through plasma technology is so huge that it will take man decades even to comprehend what a juggernaut has hit them. But you'll be so busy creating new jobs, creating new conditions, creating more pleasurable and peaceful time that you'll not even see it. As I said, you were not here yesterday. Armin and I very discreetly ran a test in the classroom. Armin, by mistake, made a mistake, but it was very easy to see. We brought a bottle of waters. We gave everyone a bottle of water. He thought, oh, Armin is very nice. He's become very generous. Armin is generous. But what it was embedded in the water is what you wanted to eat. Last night, I couldn't eat. I usually have a big meal at night. And I thought, I don't ask nobody, how did you lot feel yesterday? Because the system was set with this system to give you enough energy that covers some aspects of your needs. Did you feel more tired? Did any of you had a craving or a taste of a food in you? We did what? Was apple? Orange? No, apple? What was in it? We tested. I believe asked. He's not coming. I don't know where he is. He's gone. We ran a little test without saying not to preset your mind. The water, in a specific way, Armin has been working on it, was set around the system. We still got another 7, 8 bottles, but we are not going to tell you when we're going to give it to you. So we tested it yesterday, very craftily. You know, there were a lot of water bottles here. I said to Armin, we're going to use it. We're going to test to see how much we do. Was it good? It saves money on food. You see, Marco says, I didn't feel hungry. I didn't eat any dinner, so that's €5 a pocket. Marco loves that. That's what it is. I went to the table, I couldn't eat. So we are testing the limit of understanding. Feeding without food. Because the food is a conversion. As I explained to you, when we did the health teachings, when you eat the food goes in your stomach, changes into the gans, which is the energy system. As it goes through your intestine, it releases only energy. If you eat iron or you eat rice, rice doesn't go through your lymph. The energy of the rice in the gravitational magnetic field released at a given point in your stomach. Now, what we did, we preset and we took this part out. When you drank, you went and you fed when you need. If you needed it, you took it. If you didn't need it, it's gone through. You don't digest everything you eat. Your body doesn't hold. Whatever you need, you let go afterwards. So now you know how far ahead of you lot we are working. It's just developing a full spectrum, and this is not one person. 6, 7, 8 of us here drank. And if you didn't see this one, I just took it off before I come up. The units with what was in it was hanging, Armin taped it on it. So you have entered the world of energy absorption through non-food. Why? Is this something I brought you as a gift? No. You need this in the space. In the space, you can't carry all the potatoes, tomatoes, and everything else, which your body has got used to absorb the energy for its existence. Go back on the original writings of the Keshe Foundation Forum. In a space, we'll carry no food, no doctors, and no medicine. Because you receive what you need, and when you receive what you need, there is no aggression and it's a peaceful environment. So, not only we told you you receive a maghreb system, now people here have already received the first next step into release of energy for food consumption. I bet when you release 1 million of these in Italy in the coming weeks, supermarkets, you'll see them one by one shutting down. There'll be a lot of promotions. But the problem is because you're full, you have no need for it. I came to understand this, how much food is wasted and deliberately wasted when I was in the first year of university in London. I came across a beautiful friend of mine in the first day in the university, and somehow we two clicked. And for the 3 years university, we became very good. And he came to me one day in first, he says, Behran, we're doing American system units. Half of the week we have nothing to do. Let's go and work. He was from South Africa. I said, well, we don't need this. I said, oh, getting bored. So we got a job in Marks and Spencer, which is one of the biggest chains, well-known British system. So every afternoon we had nothing to do. We just walk in, you have time, you work. Saturdays, you work. But it was a pleasure because we didn't know it was just there to do things. One thing I realized, every day at 6 o'clock, when we closed shop, the manager had a procedure from the head office. You collect all the foods which were going or they were finished on that day. You put them on the trolleys, and whatever it is, the staff can buy at half price. This was a tricky point. So people on the shop floor, when they came to shop, they paid £1. At 6 o'clock, the same goods became 50 cents. I couldn't understand what was in that 1 minute the key in the door makes. The problem wasn't this. If we had 10 pieces of a material and we only sold 2 of it to the staff because they get the same thing every day coming up, everything in perfect order, the other 8 were destroyed in the bin that nobody else can eat. And to me, this was a huge problem. If where the shop was in Hackney, the most poorest area of London, we could put it outside, we could feed, good morning all, we could feed every day hundreds of people. We are not talking, we're talking about you just now. So this was a big dilemma for me. One day I had to stand on a Saturday, get disposed literally hundreds of kilos of ice cream because somebody might have eaten it, that we could control the price. That day I said to myself every day, this is going to change. I make sure this injustice, where hundreds beyond the walls of the Marks and Spencer in Hackney are suffering, has to change. Because I used to live as a student in near this area, in the Jewish area. I could see black people, white people who were literally could not eat every 2 days. But we were wasting hundreds of thousands of pounds every week in the bin. Make sure it gets crushed that nobody can eat it. How come it was good for us to buy, to eat next day and next week as a staff, but not the others? I made myself one promise, I will change the whole structure. And with this system, I have. The change is here. It's you who got to understand how to use it. No one can destroy. And this is a small example of what happens internationally to control food. Every day, chain stores destroy hundreds of millions of pounds and dollars to control prices. You watch, in the next few weeks, in the next few months, oranges will drop to a few cents, and you can buy meat at prices you could never imagine, the price of Second World War, because they have to pay dividends and they have to pay wages. The science and the knowledge will run a ramsack on the international financial scene. And all comes from a blue box. Very innocent, but extremely powerful. Marco didn't eat last night, neither me. With your water. A little bit. Dinner usually is our main course of the day. It works. You didn't drink your own, you absorbed everything. So, you understand where the situation is coming from. We have to, collectively with your support when you receive these units, to develop a technology that we can be part of, but not part of the criminality, part of the pleasure of sharing knowledge and technology and energy. This is what the nations, especially in the West, will get hit very, very bad with these systems. They didn't know I just told them. They thought, Ahmed is so generous, he's giving everybody a water yesterday. He is generous, I said, but it was in a different way. You are all guinea pigs. So now you understand what is to be distributed tomorrow. The units has been built, is kept in a safe place, that we know where it is, or be delivered in a specific way that no government can interfere. We have set up a structure that everything will be delivered in a way that as many units as possible across the world gets distributed. And then we'll see the next step. The next step is understanding the conversion of the energy to build conditions for a space. This little blue chap is the key to your spaceship. It's very much, as I said, the plasma in totality. You want to use it in a matter state if it's the order of magnitude in the strength on this side, if you want to use it for matter state in lowest part, or you want to use for interaction with the gravitational magnetic field of another entity in the universe for transportation through interaction of magnetic gravitational field, is all in your hand. From tomorrow, when we release these units, not only we give you the freedom of energy, not even the freedom of the food, but we give you the freedom of the space in wherever you want to live. We make, as is the title of the conference, one nation, one planet, one race. So when you go to space, nobody asks you, do you come from America or are you coming from China? I'm one race, I'm a human race. I come from planet Earth as one entity. This is the ultimate goal, and within the next few weeks we achieve it. There are those who resist and they try to stop because they call us, what do you call it, victims of Keshe, because they victimize the whole human race so long that they think it's their right. You always understand. I always remember. When I was a child, about 6, 7 years old, in our area was a commotion about 2 o'clock in the morning. Everybody was shouting. There was a lot of shouting going on. Everybody shouting a thief. Somebody caught a thief. So everybody was running to see where the thief was. And the thief was amongst the people running and saying a thief. And then the guy who his thing was getting his sources, it's him, and they all turn on him. So we had a thief amongst us long enough, and the thing is they're right. Now they've been found, now we become victims. So you understand. We've been the victim of, what do you call it, disgraced acts of these people. And now they call us, them to be victim, because then they stop us from doing what we are supposed to do to bring this to humanity. There will not be, as it can be perfect, there'll be failures, there'll be disasters, there'll be all sorts of things. Because it's part of the progress of the development of a new understanding, new technology. But we are not going to the extent which Edison went to prove Tesla is dangerous and put an elephant and a man on an electric chair. We release it that collectively as one race, we develop the technology. Black, white, Chinese, Filipinos, English, American. The interesting thing is, this is one of the biggest problems I've had for years. Racism by color and by religion is very selective. I never felt racism till I came to Belgium, living in England for 30 years. Strange thing is, you call a man a black Chinese and you create a condition for him, and then you forget something. Without the black man, you have no electricity, no computer games, no oil, and without the Chinese, you have not had the same. No computer games and no others. Because it's okay, you rob the nation from the copper, from the minerals, and you rob the Chinese nation from the youth and the life of a father to be with the son to have a free system. There is no racism there. When it comes for him to share the wealth of your nation with what they put, then the racism. You are thieves in the West by your nature, by the color of your skin, and this has to stop. If you understand the fault, then you understand there are no victims. They're all part of the process of developing a new technology. Strange enough, the ones who tried to damage the foundation, they were the ones who were embedded, and they were damaging. Now their hand is opened up, now they're collecting victims. And as we were with Armin, one of the guys who came from Armenia told us, when they saw the victim, they thought they would find 6,000 people. How many, he said? 6. And all he says, if you read them, it shows what intentions they have. And it's all funny. So the thieves now, they make victims to stop this change that we all become blind to this and you all work as one race. Strange enough, if you speak to Chinese, they say everybody in Europe looks the same. And when we said to the Chinese, you all look the same to us too. It's just what we are used to physically to see. But the beauty is, if you look at it collectively as one race, we have supported each other. But in cases, the support has been only one way. The Africans and the others only to the white man. And that from today stops. Now we go the full circle. You see, all the ones who are supposedly accused of being victim, they're all skin of white. Now the circle is complete. We give, blind to color, blind to religion, blind to everything else but serving humanity through a very simple system. This system is too big. This system is too big and too heavy. I see in the next few weeks, we go to the systems which, as we develop, should be something around this size. This thick. Do the same thing. Maybe more powerful. The thing is, do we need to produce so much energy where there is no need for heating and it's just for the food and lighting and the others? Do we see a miniature version of these on top of every lamppost, the way we see as the solar cells on top of everything else? Because it releases its energy and stays where it's supposed to be. So you'll see the change is huge, but it's you who's got to decide how it's implemented. How you bring your knowledge unconditionally, and when you share it, you don't want to hide. I am tired, I've got migraine because I left it with somebody else to abuse it. Learn the way we live. I closed all my bank accounts to be fully transparent to any government where everything comes from. I buy chocolate, I pay through the foundation. I sell my books, I pay back to the foundation. When I don't need the chocolate, the money is used to pay somebody to do research in Africa to help the Africans. When the money is not needed, we pay the man who has no electricity to pay for his life to keep him warm. But that's the job of the foundation. We don't go out and shout about it. But we don't let people to come and abuse the foundation. So you'll understand the course of humanity will change from tomorrow in a very drastic way. And those who are there to catch me or the foundation to stop the process, they're international terrorists in the disguise of Belgian government, sitting some in China and some sitting in another part of the world, in different sects and races. We don't see Africans objecting. We don't see South Americans objecting. We don't see the Chinese objecting. If it was so bad, the Chinese Keshe Foundation will not bring 3 Chinese to make sure the system enters China and reaches the government that it can change the course of their life. So you got to understand one thing. We don't look back, we look forward. We don't stop, we go faster. And the whole process is, as we have thought for past few weeks, we only work in the plasma state. Because through the plasma, you have everything you want. Through the plasma, you create what you want, where you want. You don't need to store, you don't need to put anything aside. We all become man of the space, we all become one race. That in a space, because we have an amino acid, they don't care how you look and what you wear. The only thing they're concerned is your Mr. Cohen indicates you come from the blue planet, and these guys have been wild best people in the universe. The greed has brought them to this point, and now they have everything. We wonder what is going to be the next. Now that you receive everything you need from a system without condition, would we carry on with the behavior of today? Go to Africa. It's a very interesting point. Unless you don't see it, you don't understand even how the path of God, which is supposed to bring man to unity, is used for division. In places in Africa, you go into interior. What happens? You come to a small village or a cross section where different villages have about the same access. There is only one water well, majority of the time, that everybody comes to and done for centuries to do. You see very strange things nowadays with this water well. It's supposed to be oasis where people get life from, water. You can't live without water more than 3 days. The Muslims make these to believe in Muhammad And because they're closer, a bigger tribe, then they put a little motor. They've been digging water, they've been pulling water from these wells for years. They put a motor here with a solar cell that brings the water easier up. And what they do, they put the flag of Saudi Arabia next to it. Strange enough, the Catholic Church and the other missionaries convert these guys to be Christians. And what do? They go and take the solar cell off because it carries this flag. I sat with Minister of Finance one day, and he said, Mehran, why are we doing this to ourselves in the name of what is supposed to serve us? Or when there are more Muslim people around here, then the Christians from the other village come and take this away, that the Muslims have it, we don't have it. Now that we have everything and we understand everything comes from one thing, are we going to fight? Am I going to have a blue God because it gives me everything? This is becoming a new temple. Or shall I make a white God? That's all it's going to be. In time, if we don't spread the knowledge like this, they become the source of life and man become a slave to them. So are we going to have a blue God, yellow God? So we forget about Christianity and the Muslim because we've always been slave to the one who gives us the physical and the emotional. These are gravitational magnetic systems. They satisfy both your physicality and emotion. So now, are we going to deny the beginning of the whole lot, which is believing in something more powerful, and now we start even denying the God too? Because now we have everything. We found ourselves a blue God. So you got to understand the social structure change. This is a questionnaire which has gone up. What should supporters do for October 16th? Allow everyone to the hotel the event is to be held at, they're staying outside it. Meet in Vatican Square the next day. Please remember security. Meet in Vatican Square the same day. Please remember the security. Don't forget the people who set the system up, like what you call it, the victims, who are the terrorists, have already started actions to do terrorist activities these 2 days. We are fully aware what they are up to, what they are planning, and how they are pushing around with different governments to do things, and even paying terrorists to do terrorist activities, because now their hand is open. So that's your poll. You decide, and then we see what we do. Thanks. So read the poll, you decide, we look at the vote. You saw them walking into the opening, knowing they were banned, trying to cause mayhem. This time, we set the structure different. Good or bad? Everything okay? Thank you very much. So maybe we got to pray for their souls, that we elevate them, that they go high enough to understand what is going on. Is there a problem? No. Yeah. That maybe we can elevate their souls, that they understand is only one thing. And this technology is for advancement of the human race, not 3 or 4 people trying to confirm their existence. They were given a chance, but they decided they want the whole cake and nobody else gets it. But the foundation is big enough that it shares with everyone. So you worked on it, we listen. Would you like to take it off or at least move it to the side? Rinse.
You'd have to do that on your side. You can move it around.
Okay, no problem. So now you got to understand, every Thursday we teach you, and as in the teaching of the foundation during the week, I always explain, you cannot teach plasma technology, which is the essence and the basis of the creation, without understanding the ethics and the ethos of it. It has conduct. It has a way you have to behave. You can go and fight, or you put the condition on the table that I receive what is there. You've seen, as an example, with both cases, with the pedophile cases and attack on the logo of the Keshe Foundation. We made it very clear. One went in the hand of Interpol and FBI for them to decide, and we've seen the silence. The other one had to go silent because all the fraudulent claims are on the table. So I don't protect the logo of the Keshe Foundation, I protect the Keshe Foundation from thieves of Baghdad, the people who try to dig in to confirm their own existence. So it's got to be the same. We don't waste time fighting. We just put things on the table for people to decide, and we've seen the verdict of the people in both cases. The few who are in that section of society have to confirm their existence amongst themselves. But this technology belongs to humanity. You have to decide within the next 24 hours how you're going to change the whole structure of mankind. A lot of people will say, I was in Rome, I was in that meeting, and they'll be proud of it because they know the change has come in such a drastic way that it will touch every man on this planet. And as I said in the teachings, if you understood it and you have not missed it, there's a very big problem with this planet. Anything which is live, anything which breathes, anything which replicates has a common denominator, Mr. Cohen. The fish, the tree, all have common denominator. That's where they came from. And don't forget, if the system yesterday produced the energy which went in the water, and we did not need to eat, would, as we spread the units around the world, would this affect the fish? That the fish cannot eat another fish because he receives the energy he needs. Does this change allows the trees to change their behavior that they accommodate every fly and every bee on them? They can nest on them. There'll be no parasite because everything receives energy from the environment. This is the next step. This is where the biggest change will come. As we release more and more energy systems in Maghreb, and as they spread across the world on this planet, we start linking up. The birds, the entities above and entities below will become part of being satisfied. Would we see another lion eating another deer? Because when he's not hungry, animals. Man is the only animal he kills even though he's not hungry. Would we see by saturating so many units, by releasing so much plasma, make and change the color of the blue to a real blue, which is peace, amongst the man and amongst the animals. It's not a theory anymore, and it's not a wish. As I said, you call it the blue God. God is just and fair, and everyone receives the same. So when we distribute these units across the world, and you make it yourself, I ask you please to make as many as you can. The faster we make these units across the planet, there will be less abuse of the planet, less pollution to kill more. Now the energy and the knowledge will go into be able to expand new horizons, not new mountains and new valleys and new deeper sea, but it opens up the universe to us to travel. It's not a blue box. The key is the knowledge which you all have. Millions of Keshe Foundations around the world support us, already gaining the knowledge in different way and different strength. And in the coming time, less than 3 to 5 years, you will see the change. It's so rapid that people, I was saying to Armin yesterday, will pull up the wires of the wiring of the house because there is no need of it anymore, and they make a unit. There is enough energy in it to feed your great-grandchildren, let alone yourself. Understand? Now, through this plasma technology, you have what I call, or you understand, the totality. You decide what you want from it. The plasma energy is there. You decide you want it to be a continuous chain of aluminum, or you want it to be a continuous chain of whatever you call the soul of another being or creation of another thing. This is your aluminum, and this is the soul and the level of creation. Then you understand a very simple process. Does the man need to be trapped in the atmosphere of this planet to satisfy his needs of expanding the horizon of his life? So now you understand how I brought you in a very soft way over years to the cliff. This is a cliff you've got to decide. You're going to take a dive in the ocean, or you're going to take a dive on a ground which is solid. You land in the water, you swim, you jump off the cliff on the ground floor, which is agreed, you annihilate yourself. So the process is very simple. Tomorrow, we release the energy systems. A lot of nations, the governments, will not like this process because they think they lose control. But on the other hand, they already have lost control by most of you knowing what you're going to do. No electricity board company can shut you down, and nobody can come and close your water because you can make as much as you need when you need it. Yesterday, we received messages. One of the supporters, they disconnect his electricity, and then they come and disconnect his water, and leave a 6-month-old child with nothing in the house, because somebody had to make money to be able to be the director of a company to show profit. One of the first working units will go to this man as fast as possible. Because now they are not board of directors. And now you see the bottom line It's not the profit. The bottom line is how to serve. And you go back to, as I always say, read on the heading of the Keshe Foundation. We are here to serve and not to be served. And the ones who want us to be their servants, we are terrorists, we are creating victims and everything else, because they've got so much use to abuse that they want to have the financial means to place it. And I'll give you a warning. International community in the protection of people are already watching them like a hawk. All the communication, the people who try to stop the process, by the people who support us are well protecting it. There are people in a position of power which they want to see the injustices to finish. And they are supporting us heavily. Tomorrow, we make a number of drastic announcements in respect to the Keshe Foundation and the position in the international arena in how we did not ask, but we've been given the courtesy of being the beginning of the change, using their structure, not ours. I disclosed it last night to the closest member of the Keshe Foundation. They know what is to come, and tomorrow we announce it. So those who understand, they will put together a structure to deliver as many systems, but with the structure we have today, it takes time to change what I call the paper money into a barter. I come from a barter background. If you don't know, at this moment doesn't exist that much. But in 1970s and 80s, barter was one of the best ways to do business because it was left to you to do what you like. If you do not know what barter means, it's very simple. It's the old-fashioned way of doing work. What it is, you do not carry any money. You go with your chicken. If man needs a chicken, he gives you his egg. You go with your egg. If the other man doesn't need egg or he wants egg, he gives you his camel. Depends what you need. Everything has a value according to what you need, not what you want. In 1970s, 80s, there was what most of you know as Eastern Bloc and the Free World, which was actually the biggest prison, which we call the Western Bloc, which is European now. In the Eastern Bloc, money was controlled by governments. In the West, was controlled, but in a different way. The only way we could meet most of us to do business was you carry what I have, we call it gold, or I give you 1 carrot, you give me 2 potatoes. It's your problem what you get for your 2 potatoes, and I get about my 2 carrots. And we were all happy because we all knew. We never saw the color of money in that process. We needed, we took it. We didn't need it. I can't take any potatoes. My store is full. You can have a carrot. But when you have a potato, when I need it, you give it to me. Because if I don't give my carrot to you today, by tomorrow it's rotten. It's no good to nobody. And it was a position of trust, position of knowing that I won't get a rotten carrot because if I can't get anything done with it, you won't have your potatoes tomorrow. I worked like this between East and West for years till 1990s when the East and West came down. And it was so beautiful. It was so much trust. It was so much no injustice. And if we got a potato which was wrong, we went back and said, look, this is a potato, we lost money. Next time I give you more potatoes, give me less carrots. We sorted out. We never fought, we never discussed. It was very simple. And now with this technology, this is the point will come. People will go out to give to each other. People will go out to help each other. People do it because it's there to do. We've seen it. So please understand, from tomorrow, you are waiting for a blue box to have a free energy, but This blue box, it'll become white for the Americans because of the production, maybe white throughout the world because of the production. This blue box becomes your conscious, your food, your energy, and you understanding the abuse, if there is a need to abuse, and why you abuse. So, unfortunately, it's got two strings. And as I always say, it's very loose. It's only man to hang himself by it, by his own wrongdoing. If you use it the correct way and connect it the right way, you benefit by it. You try to do damages and use abuse, the other one is you who gets hung by it. Then the two types of people. There are those who use the string to serve, and there are those out of the fear of hanging themselves behave correct. Remember, it's the first time ever in human race history where this system produces two things. It's plasmatic. So what it does, it creates continuous full spectrum of plasma. You want to create whatever for your physicality sits in that spectrum. But unfortunately, or good for me, your conscious and your emotion sits in the spectrum too. So you play game, you hang yourself right. It's you who brings to the lower stage your own level. This is what is called hell and heaven. When you can elevate yourself by serving, you take that position in strength. And this way, there. So this system not only feeds your conscious, it feeds your emotion, it brings your physicality. Now, you decide in a very simple way where you want to hang yourself. You know, if a man goes very smooth, the rope will follow. If you jump up and down, it goes down the neck and he hangs you like this. But the problem is, one is his physicality and one is his emotion. So you get hung by both. A fool hang himself. I have given you the worst nightmare you ever could live with. I got your soul and I got your physicality. It's you to decide how you want to conduct yourself. And I call it the blue box. And the thing is, I don't. You have it yourself. You'll find out, start abusing this system, how you pay for it. Emotionally or physically, it has to be a balance. Physicality stays there, emotion stays there. That's how you are created. You fiddle with this, you bring this, you feel it. Nobody else will. So let me tell you something very simple. As we say in English, we got you in all directions. You hang yourself, you pay for it yourself. I gave you the tool. Tomorrow you come to get energy to be free. Wait on the 26th. It shall be free. And strange enough, I tell you one thing, we have made arrangement. If anything happens to us, something very strange will happen to you. It'll be very pleasant. The stupidity of these people is to get to their point, they don't care about children, family, or wife. They even call my wife to create problem that they can stop it. They call a man on his child phone to threaten that they kill the child if he releases more energy or information. This is how low they are, and they sit in the structure of what we've seen, victims of Keshe Foundation. and the people who support them. So you know if anything happens, where to look for. They sit in China, they sit in Bulgaria, they sit in Belgium, and they've recruited some in Germany. We are watching everything, but this is your freedom. You have to act to see how you can change the process. And you got to understand how you change it through a technology. Don't waste time on it. Deliver it. We will do as fast as we can. We have put a condition of connecting it to the power supply. One, we can change it from the power supply totally to be independent, but temporarily this gives satisfaction to the government that they are in charge, at least they can control part of it. Taxation will change, incomes will change, employment will change drastically. 3,000–4,000 jobs in Italy will put tons of people out of job in Italy. It's an industrial revolution, but with one good thing, and that is, okay, it happens. You people in Keshe Foundation Manufacturing have stopped me working in the power station because there is no need for it. No problem. We give you a blue unit. We cover you. You're not going to be short. For every job we put out as an industrial change, we support ourselves. That's why we put these kind of prices on it to be able to produce. So a man who loses his job will get a free unit from the foundation, because he doesn't have to worry if he's going to have a heating, electricity, food, water, or whatever. The system will supply. And we even teach you how to make fabrics and clothing that you can clothe yourself with what you like to. In the next few weeks, you will learn. We teach everything. So understand very, very clearly. Tomorrow is a change for humanity and not a blue box just for energy. And you, as the followers of Keshe Foundation, as members of the Keshe Foundation in a different shape or form over years, have brought this change collectively and in a very nice way. You got to realize we do not trust the Belgian authorities, but without the Belgian group in Belgium, the core supporters, people like Sven and others, Keshe Foundation wouldn't be where you are. It's not that we've been done wrong. We've been done wrong by people in position. People like who supported us heavily in Belgium that you could hear about us, they're credited as part of technology. So in time, we look after the Belgians our way. Understand one thing very clearly. There cannot be a division amongst men this time round, but we have to be careful with those who try to create division for their own physical benefit. And that's where the change is. We received a huge amount of support from even some people who are on the board now. They're listening. Without Wim, his support, Keshe Foundation Health could not be brought to be a legal entity. He gave that support to bring the Keshe Foundation Health on the arena of the health section of the government. He gave a lot of credibility to it. These are the people who supported us, but there are factors in the Belgian structure, like who we've seen, that have to be aware of. They've got so much to abuse that they have overridden a lot of things. Keshe Foundation Belgium has been the backbone of the creation of what we see. You have a few rogue people who in the background did all the damage we were not aware of. Now we are. We know, we protect. We even protect the Belgian Keshe Foundation fully. I think through today, you learned a lot more than you were interested in anything else we've been teaching, because the ethos of what this thing is going to do for you is more important, because all the teachings of past months and years and books has brought us to first step of the conclusion of a system which we need in the space to be able to feed and create energy. This unit was not built for man on Earth to have a free things. It's built, developed, that man in a space can be detached from any physical condition. You don't need to go. And as we say now, now NASA wants to go to Mars, they have to organize 22 months round trip. The craft will come back, but water runs out, dead. Food runs out, dead. Even 3 days before landing, food or water runs out, we won't get our people back. What happened with the blue box? You can go to anywhere in the universe. You create your food, your clothing, your water as you need, when you need, because you tap into the universal supply, not as here into the man's supply of the earth. That's where the difference comes. So you have everything more or less to go. There's a couple of bits left. I have to clothe you a little bit, and I have to give you enough trust to believe in what you're doing is correct, and the man will be off. Any questions?
We had a question in the chat from Joseph Niemark. How can I make the unit myself? Will you release the schematics?
Not yet. We're going to do it our way. It'll be done in time, very short time, but we have to allow the process to go through. We know that the very first units released will be opened by people, we'll put the pictures on and everything else. That's what we want you to do, but let's do it correctly. Let's give the government a time to know what's going to hit them. Because you'll find out those people who sit, like in Belgium, who are trying to destroy, there are more of them who are trying to destroy the rest of the human race too. So you got to understand the process. We know what we are doing. We'll raise the blueprint. It's not a blueprint. It's the way we done it. I'm sure you can do better. There are more intelligent people than me who can do this and play this different way. But at least this way I can get to most of the people. At least it's idiot-proof. The clever one will make in new ways. I know how to make without the wire. I don't need the unit, but you're human. You have to have physically something to confirm you have. And then some of us worried, what happens if it doesn't work? They're going to, you're safe. Having trust in what you do is correct is 99% of the job. He says, oh, he wants the food and drink. We already did it yesterday. We had a cake and everything else in the water. Oh, yes, by the way, Armin, what was in the water we drank yesterday?
Actually, we made a gans of apple, banana, walnut,
salami,
cheese,
and Muslim ate ham.
tomato.
But it was only the energy of it, there's no problem. Ali is concerned. You gave me salami, I'm a Muslim, I can't eat pork. You had the energy, it wasn't slaughtered, so it's still
Oh, that
plasma.
was pork there too.
What else was in there? We had copper,
Lemon, yes,
radish,
radish,
grapes, red and white, chocolate,
coffee,
coffee,
tea.
tea. We tried to cover as much as we could. We had here.
Cans of whole spectrum.
Oh, we had aspirin and paracetamol. So you don't feel any pain. Did you have any pain yesterday? Did you have a headache yesterday? Did you? After the water? Yes, it works. Oh, what it works?
It's interesting. I didn't drink any water yesterday, but there was a bottle here I touched.
Yeah.
I don't eat Wednesdays. I stop eating Tuesday evening, and I don't eat till Thursday lunch. That's regularly for me. I don't need a drink. But yesterday I felt a little bit dizzy, and I was wondering why, because it's not usual for me. I had to go to bed a little bit early, and I slept really, really well. And I'm fresh today. I still haven't eaten.
So, but you're used to it. What happened, and we don't say, he fell asleep during the Chinese teaching. That was the time when the bottle came. So I left because I was sitting next to you. I was falling asleep too. Yeah. So I put the bottle next to you.
Yeah. It was,
but I was drinking.
There was an effect for sure.
No, we don't know. We'll put that out because you didn't touch, you didn't eat it. But strange enough, so we have given the energy of pork to a Muslim. God forbid. But it's protein. It has a name. It's in the gas state. It's energy. It's okay. Now we have to go to Mullah and find out. The worst thing, I have to go to a rabbi on my Jewish side. This is what's going to happen. Religions have no borders and barriers anymore. This is what happened. It's like the woman. Nowhere in the book has written a woman cannot marry 4 or 5 men. It only applies to men. So we are okay. Plasma is not stated. You can do whatever you like. When I was a student, at that time in 1980s, new kind of quiz came out, and it was a free time. Everybody was, all the colleges were full of every people from everywhere. And there was one which called the bacon flavor. And it's just a flavoring, no bacon in it. And there was a big discussion with the Muslims in the college. We're not eating it. It's got bacon in it. And it was just flavoring. It never touched the bacon. So now that we're creating a composite plasma, that could be plasma of any animal in the world on it, or we stop eating as well. Because it could be the plasma of a pork, or do we make a filter for it? You know, vegetarians are the biggest eat meters because plants, there is still live protein. So it depends. You want to kill one animal, have a steak, or you want to kill thousands of seeds and God knows plants as herbs to eat as food. It's still more. Eating meat is less criminal because it's one animal. Here, you go for the whole carrots and everything else because they're all protein-based are living. So now you see the problem with this technology gets bigger. Do we make systems only for the Jews, or do we make systems only for the Muslims? Or would it only produce fish for the Catholics that they have Friday lunch fish only? The system will have, as you know, it's tradition in England, Fridays is a fish day. So the machine should make only fish on Fridays. We put the timer and the data on it. What's going to happen in the space? When do we know when it's Friday? It doesn't matter if it's a Friday or a Monday. The complexity of this new technology is so huge that the man will give up on all the prejudices because they're meaningless. We choose our prejudices, and that's why we can let them go when it changes. Any other question?
In the live stream.
Before I finish, I ask you to give from your soul to all the members of the governments and groups and people who come to the meeting tomorrow, that we elevate them, that they see man as one race and one planet and one nation. They come to us this time as name of different nations. Hopefully in the coming future of the Keshe Foundation, we will not call it the ambassadorial, we call it humanity meets small race. That we don't have ambassadors and nations. Because once we bring the space technology application into it, you can live anywhere you like, wherever you like. You don't need to pay taxes because you serve your nation. Doesn't matter wherever you're on this planet. Because as one nation, there is no separation of the borders. In Africa, you have everything you need to produce the units you want for your nation. In Africa, you've been so unlucky that we sent you all the rubbish which we didn't need in the West. So you received the most refined batteries, you received the most refined wires in all the television, fridge freezers, and the computers they're dumping on you. In Africa, when you walk in the markets, the most precious thing in some places in Africa is this bottle. People walk around with a bottle because they can carry the oil or the water in it or whatever they want to buy. You do not know what a beautiful thing this bottle has been for people in Africa. It's the most precious thing they carry with them in some places because then they can carry oil in it. The beauty of it is this bottle has everything for you to make a system to create energy out of it the way you want it. We nano-coat copper. Shred this in the right way and nano-coat it, it'll do the same. In Africa, you have a special kind of vegetables which are like strings. Nano-coat them, they act and behave like a power supply when you know how to do it. You don't need to look in the hand of the white to be able to survive. The white has stolen enough from your hands for centuries. This time you can do it on your own. So what is important is to understand, to use what you have locally, what you have in-house. Some roots of plants in Africa are much better than the systems we produce here for the same job. All you need to do, remember one thing, you have to coil it. Look at this one. Put that thing back. Can we see the last thing we just went in? Somebody wrote, my son's property burned.
It's just about to build a new house. What? Oh, sorry, I get it on the live stream too. It says, my son's property burned in a fire. To build a new house, what attachment is needed to build a new house?
You need filter for different energy spectrums. This is what we're trying to do for you. Secondly, if you understand how to make the systems to convert the energy, you don't need bricks and walls. You make energy the same way as we're trying to do with the space technology to build the structure without material. Building houses and building bricks will become the history of the past for the man. You build houses which never be destroyed because it goes according. This is part of the Oasis system. We're not talking something which whatever we said we have delivered, we've done up to now. This is part of the Oasis system. All you need to do, you don't need to make a filter if you want to bricks and walls. You can make nicer houses, nicer not the house, but the confinement of the space where you feel comfortable with creation of magnetic fields. You want it to be a square here and flat here, near a sea. You want to be on the beach, and tomorrow you want to go somewhere else, you move it. The freedom is so much that you don't even comprehend. All you need, stay in the place where it's burned and build a system which covers it by magnetic gravitational field. And now you have it. You have the system. You have the knowledge. It's just you to understand how to convert it. There will be a TV crew that is broadcasting to the new satellite. The stream will be available for them. It is up to the Keshe Foundation supporters to get the news station just to pick it up. Yes, this was a gift given to us by the Italians. They have brought the whole satellite system, as I said. So it's you that you've got to ask your station if they're going to broadcast it. Tell you one thing.
He's already talked about that several times.
The process is there, and as I was just saying, is that on the 16th of December, the whole presentation will be carried on most of the European channels. The organization which is recording it, they have developed a new 4HMLD system, which is will become the future of the technology of the broadcasting live. You're used in 3-dimension, but more high definition. It's one of the first events being recorded in that way. So on mid-December, this new system comes into operation worldwide on satellite system. So from there you can watch it because, and at the same time, from coming weeks, we will teach that way. On the international satellite, teachings will be not on the live stream. It will be on live stream, but the teachings will be on the satellite system around the world. We already have come to some understanding, so we don't teach on live stream as such that it can be brought up. They'll be live recorded, live presentation, and it's all done freely for the foundation. They're not paying for this, but they offered us.
Someone's asking what time does the event start?
The event starts at 8 p.m. Central European time. People who receive the invitation will.
That was a great pause there. People who receive the invitation will.
The way we look at it.
Get a
Mr. Keshe?
diploma.
Yes.
I just had about 10 seconds there. People who receive the invitation will. That's where we stopped.
Will come. Will attend around about 7:30 to 8:15. So the actual session will start about 8:30, but officially it's at 8 o'clock. Secondly, we can't get 100 people in one go to be there. So around about 8:30, we think it'll be a start officially. And we'll go through it till we finish. And as I was saying, you've got to realize, as is broadcasters on the international satellite system, 99.9% of the viewers have no clue about Keshe Foundation and what we do. So we have to start explaining who we are a little bit. Marco has done some, what do you call, PowerPoint presentation in about 20 minutes, because we have to understand that others are waiting to see what the system does and what it is. And then, as we say, we put the monkey on the table to dance and see who likes it. But it's all in the color of blue. So there is a way we are aware of the totality of the structure.
Someone's asking whether you could plug in the unit and show it working for a few minutes.
I think these people are deaf. The system takes, doesn't matter what you connect to it, between up to 3 weeks to nanocode the material. When we plug, we put a meter, we see it coming down in power consumption till it comes to zero. It's not that you plug it in and you take it. So you got to understand, you change the whole environment of the work. It's not, you want me to plug it, we can plug it, but you don't see anything on the other end of it. But we show it tomorrow, that's the gimmick. At least we have something new to show. But what you see tomorrow is not bad, is it not? You will see one of the biggest evolutions in the world of electronics, electrical circuitry. You will understand it when you see it. It'll blow the mind of people who understand the change. Don't forget, it's part of the same work. One nation, one planet, one race, one energy supply. This is the biggest change. You will see tomorrow. When you see it tomorrow, you're so physical when you see it working. This is, I've given you enough hints and I've told you enough about them past few days and weeks. You see it, you understand it. And Arwen has already made things to show it to you how simple it is. Correct, Arwen? The only thing is, we plug it and you see it. Because you're so physical, it has to be shown. Doesn't matter how beautiful the flower is, you have to see it. We show you the flower. And you still, some of you say, it's not good enough because it's not in my hand. That's your problem. Make your own flower. The place of meeting is the most prestigious hotel in Italy. It's called Western Excelsior Hotel in Rome. This hotel has accommodated the Shah of Iran on exile from Tehran. So, if it's good for a king, it's good for the kingdom of man too. It's one of the most prestigious places we could get. So, if you make your way to outside, the security services will be there. If you have a permit, you come in. If you don't, please do not attempt because high security alert put you in a van and back to somewhere in Italy for a while, being until after the presentation. It's called the Westin Excelsior Hotel in Rome.
I do have some good news from the Energy for Peace, and that is that Colombia has announced a positive confirmation.
Yes. Colombia. They don't know what's going to do to them. You understand? Please understand your presence is welcome. We appreciate it. It has to be orderly. If you are, that it shows the integrity of the foundation. Please do not call the hotel. Hotel is fully booked and the rooms are about between 600 to 900 euro per night. And then mini suite, I think it's about 1,500 euro per night.
So just to be clear, this is for people that can meet outside the hotel, and they, you know, some people might be there expecting to be given these power supplies or something, but that's not the case, as the way I understand it. Is the Keshe Foundation basically decides when and where any power supplies are given out, and that wouldn't be the case necessarily outside the hotel. Is that true, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, this is the way what officials of the governments wanted a lapse time. 10 days, I think, is a fair amount. And it's mainly for them to make a decision how they're going to handle the financial crisis more than anything else. Understand that by sometime in the coming weeks, we will release the blueprint on the Keshe Foundation website, the way we release the patent keys. In the coming time, we release it, but not the old people and sick can do it. The youngsters don't do it. The housewife on their own single doesn't know how to do it. And there is so much more to the use of this system. So that's why the faster, the more people build it around the world and give it to each other and build it for each other, we charge a rate which allows us to distribute as much as possible to as many people as possible. You got to understand, in the coming weeks, you will be able to develop these technologies with yours and the rest in different organizations, chat rooms, space agencies, that we do not need to rely on generosity of governments, but the government needs our generosity of helping them to sustain their order. If you understand something very simple, I explained this before, and the people who work around Keshe Foundation more or less understand because they all know it. We pay the same fee to everyone around the world. People who work, who are part of the Keshe Foundation, except a few exceptions because of the position, receive exactly the same payment, being in the United States, being in Canada, being in Belgium, being in Italy, in Africa, in China, in Philippines, anywhere we operate. I have put a standard rate that no one comes from poorest nation to richest nation because the pay will be better. I've killed that bird in the nest from the beginning. Now, the problem is not for the people from Africa to come to Europe to work for the foundation, is the Europeans and the others who live in the West to go and live because they all get the same fee. In Africa, you live richer. So if you want to live in Europe with the same wages and live a comfortable life, you're quite welcome. But if you want to live a very comfortable life, pack your bag and go and work with the Keshe Foundation in the third world because they get the same wages as you do. There is no difference. And this has been a cause of a lot of concern around the Western Keshe Foundation people, but in a way, we made it deliberate that talented people go to places where it's cheaper for them, but they have everything now, they don't need to move. So it allows the investment of the Keshe Foundation to be used in the third world nations much stronger by creating jobs and the rest. So what we tell you is what we do. We don't ask you to do it because we do it ourselves anyway. If you join the Keshe Foundation in different shape or form, Keshe Foundation Italy gets paid the same as Keshe Foundation Ghana, or in Nigeria, or in South America. In the West, you pay 2,000 euro for a big house luxury. In Africa, you pay $200. Where would you like to live? So you see, we brought the way of justice across our work. And this will be the way we work. We come to an agreement even with everybody who works around us. You'll find deviation, let us know. It doesn't mean everything's going to be perfect, correct. There'll be people who will abuse it. But on the other hand, in time, there is no need to abuse. This is a temporary situation. So those who are waiting to get hold of the Keshe Foundations and copy it as they promised, We have talked to the governments to make sure they get no chance of copying or no chance of developing. You got to realize governments realize what is going on, and in time you will see national registration. Means every person across the planet will be registered just to exist, not to pay taxes. This is a big change. This is a very, very big change. The way of to be correct is part of the ethos of the foundation. To be comfortable to exist is part of the ethos of the foundation. I've explained to you a lot of times, if you don't know, if you've been around the foundation, here in the teachings even, everybody's a rat race to be at work at 9 o'clock. In the foundation, we don't start till 10. You can do everything you need. You come here, it's a pleasure to be. So the structure is set on the comfort of humanity, not trying to be here to prove the views of humanity. So it's the way you got to structure. Whatever you structure through the financial or physical gain of the foundation. We opened the door for man to expand the knowledge. We didn't open the door for man to abuse another man furthermore. So it's for you to decide. Foundation
As
is
being a
guideline.
I would like to ask the supporters that do arrive that if they do notice that there's anything going on, that they do have a peaceful response to something like that.
We don't expect anything wrong. We expect wrongdoings from the number of people who have victimized, and they call themselves victims. They've been child abusers. Now they've been discovered. Everybody else is wrong. That's all we're going to get. Now they want a health system for their family is on the table. They have to use it. We know where it's going to come from and how they were planning. With this, we disarm them. The beauty of it is our bankers, with them writing to the bank calling us a terrorist, money laundering, and the rest of it, now they want to invest in Keshe Foundation. We didn't know the Keshe Foundation is such an advanced technology developers. We have so much money in the bank. Can we talk about development? I said, thank you very much. They put it on the internet, calling the governments and the banks that we have money laundering. So when I spoke to the bank lawyers and the security services, we thought you're just a small foundation. Now the bank wants to invest in the foundation. The more they come to harm, the further we go. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. The number of nations will turn up, but don't forget, it's very interesting. We'll explain it to you tomorrow. As I said, tomorrow's presentation, most of the ambassadors and delegations are in Milan, a few hundred kilometers away. Strange enough, in the exhibition for food. They go there for physical food, and we go for the plasma food. I bet long run will win. A lot of ambassadors says, oh shoot, I should have stayed in Rome instead of going to Milan. But it's good. They chose a priority, that's their prerogative. And we will see the way it will go. We will release the blueprint exactly the way we released the patent key to the governments. How many of you have produced anything from the patent keys? None. But you wanted it because you thought it's your right. Have you seen a single reactor built? But you see, you read the patents the way it's written. I wrote a patent for plasma. You're matter people, now read the same in plasma. Now that you understand the structure of the plasma working, read the patent again and put the plasma wherever I put the reactor. It works. And it's been in your hand, what, 2 years now, 3 years? None of you flew, none of you made the energy system. Every new development which has come from the foundation. And I've released the information for it to be done. So we give you the blueprint, let the government understand what juggernaut has hit them, because there will be no government. When you have everything, you cannot be governed, because then you become just and correct. We invited the Israeli government, they refused, but the one on the hand, Palestinians are there. No nation needs this system more than Palestine. I have a very good friends, long life friend in Palestine. I looked after Palestinians, sending clothing to them, doing things to them since 1980s. Friendship established long time ago. We teach that the Palestinians, doesn't matter, they had only one power station in Palestine, and you got hit. Everybody is working on the back of generator. Now they can switch all the generators off, use the wiring of the generators, make a unit, one generator in whole Palestine, feed the whole lot free. Israeli government lost control. We invited them on the table of peace, they chose different, that's their problem. Now they see what's going to happen. I hope it brings peace between the Jews and the Muslims in Palestine. In Iraq, the ambassador of Iraq will be present. Nobody's been hit more than them. They're all on generators. The most richest oil nation on this planet is living off the back of generators. 1 or 2 generators in Iraq will feed Poland because they have the full grid. The change is so drastic, and the nations who come are the nations who need, because they heard the voice of justice. And the rest of our abusers will not turn up because they shows their hand. But in any way, people who receive it will become correct enough, hopefully, that we'll see the change. Strange enough, Vatican has asked, and they are present. And the aim of people from Vatican is very simple. It was explained to me on Monday. We want to put the borders of the religion aside. This is the new writing of the Pope on the back of what we released as World Peace. Pope has written his own World Peace on the back of what we released.
Well, I mean, if you you mentioned earlier that you want to get going, but if you have time, Mr. Keshe, maybe we can. He says he has he says he will show us a photo of what he has now. It seems.
Let's have a photo. We can always delete it.
Okay. All right. Vivek will give you screen sharing, and you can share your screen and let us see what you have there. Okay, there it goes.
It says in the chat, the first image shows the template of the design. So it's a triple loop, what we see. And the colors only help to understand how the wires are crossing each other, how the loops are created.
Yes, it appears to be a modified infinity loop.
So the name that came in the mind for Vivek is Flower of Life. This is created with one single copper wire.
You know what's the problem with this? You're two-dimensional. You got to make it three-dimensional.
Do you mean like twist it, Mr. Keshe? So
No, the top one, he's put a top hole on the top where the three interact. That should be up. Then the bottom becomes the base. The loop in the loop in the, where there is a three section at the bottom. If you turn from the wires from the point of the outer boundary upwards, where the circle sits to be top. In a way, it looks down as a base. That should be about right. This is two-dimensional flat, nothing will happen. You see, you have, it's like a rocket with three base and one top. That top section has to be moved up, literally turned it 90 degrees up, which looks down on the base. This one has to be, let me change the color, pink. It has to be rotated 190 degrees to somewhere here where it looks down. It has to be turned upwards. Yeah. You turn it up, then you have a base. The way you got to do it is if you take these, if you turn it here in this region, and then here, but turn it up. If you look, if you understand the winding of a system, if you understand the work of the Y and delta formation, you have the Y and the delta comes up to you. You have the two together, so you strengthen the gravitational magnetic field. But the way you got to do it to watch is here in this section, one has to go under the wire and one has to be from the wire up. So you create interaction in both ways. I don't know why you're using a twisted wire, but maybe you understand a different way than I do. You can do this in a simple way as a coil. Twisted wire creates nothing but problem. Try to understand to work the way the plasma is. So make the same thing a long coil, and if you can create this formation and turn it up and you can hold it, then you might find a slot.
He says that I was using twisted wire because the coil was a bit difficult to wind, and I thought with two braids it would have a mag and grav in one structure.
You see, this is one, your two, and your three reactor, and this becomes your top reactor here. So what you do, this comes, if I can draw it, becomes like this. So what you get, you have reactor number one, reactor number two, reactor number three, and then number four, which is this one, comes above it, looks here. Then what you have to do, if you use a coil, with this you cannot create continuity of the change. This has to be placed in a way that it creates a dynamic flow, as we talked in the teaching yesterday. And then flow, you have one flow this way, and you have a flow this way too. This difference will feed the current through. One becomes the emotion, one becomes the physicality link, one becomes the gravitational, one becomes the magnetic, and the two feed each other. This is a matter state, this is an emotional state. If you have a problem in using coils, use different type of nano coating. You find out if you nano coat part of your system with a gas and part of system with heating, you get the benefit of both. For example, you nano coat this way, this part with, what do you call it? By the heating. And you nano coat this part, more or less. You nano coat this one with caustic. Because when you nano coat this section with wire, with a, what do you call it, with a heat, like Bhutan heat, you create a soft spring. You can manipulate it easy. But if you use this section with, what do you call it, with the Bhutan heat, it softly falls off, you can't hold it. Where in caustic coating, you have rigidity. You got to start learning how you mix things together. It's not that just you do it because you're just making materials that way. In the call it in the blueprint, our guys who's done the whole thing show actually how to nanocoat through heating through button gas. It's very thorough.
Vivek says, I got it. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. And also mentions different types
You
of
see, this is the
nano-coating
beauty of
methods.
it. We share knowledge without patents and copyrights and intellectual right agreements. In 1 second, hundreds of people understood. Now you can nano coat the same material with different processes and how you can make a star formation.
And he says, I will redo the design and try again. Thank you, sir.
Oh, you're welcome. The making of these tubes, what they call coils, is the problem for a lot of people. I will show when people around us are coming up with different systems of how to make one coil in one go, in one setting. And I think our guys in, what do you call it, in Canada has achieved doing it. They've tested it in Philippines, it can be done. So in one go, you have a system. We need to develop a technology that we can produce millions a day around the world. Even if we produce 1 million, it will take us 10 years to supply every man with one system. So we have to find a multiplication of the development and how you do it, the way you do it. There are no free units given tomorrow. We made that clear. The units will be given to the governments and to the people who we have prearranged to be there to carry them for different governments. We wait 10 days. On the 26th, we will release the total system to the people who have bought it. So before end of the month, some of you receive it. We ask you to be correct and not destroying to see what's inside it. You will not receive the blueprint. We leave it till we can process the technology in a different way. As I told you very clearly, the systems, even week by week, will be different. As we learn, we change, we add. So in so many ways, we update the blueprint every day once we release it. It's a matter of we have a criterion, we have a position to achieve, and we'll keep to that for the time being. There are people who are trying to find out and fast run a copy. Please do it as fast as you can. My idea was to leave a window to see it, but through the structure of the way security, or what do you call it, safety sits, we can't do it at the moment. Otherwise, we would have shown it. You don't need to break a unit and damage it. Try to understand how you can multiply it, how you can deliver it. Do you need such a system, or can you make a small one that everybody else can have it? Everything is possible. I said to Alman yesterday, he said that he's made a pen. On Friday, by the way, tomorrow we distribute about 50 pens as well, the health pens made by the foundation. And I said to Alman, as many stars in the sky you see, there are different ways of making a pen. You've seen the Philippine Keshe Foundations have released a beautiful pen. It's just a normal pen. The pen we produce is bigger. Talking to random sisters that these small pens are good for the small paints. For the big paints, you need the big ones. So now we know the winding, the strength, the thickness of the wire has a direct effect on your performance. We saw in what do you call it, in one of the pen units we were looking at a couple of days ago with Mark and Armin, we see a black mark at the bottom of the, what do you call it, the plastic. Is it so much energy going in there that it's releasing itself and burning the plastic or creating black dust? So we're learning together. And if you don't become those who go and develop when they learn from us and it becomes a secret for them till they can financially benefit by it, then we share the knowledge very quickly.
Will they be signing the peace treaty in the ambassador's meeting? Live, doing it live.
No, you understand, ambassadors are like the presidents. They can only do things which their governments allows. We do not know. They received it. If they bring it with themselves or not, we don't know.
Okay.
On the other hand, the function is kept in a hotel. So we cannot disturb the function of one of the major hotels in Rome, especially this time of the weekend, which is the peak of the work. So our parameters we have secured safe that where we sit and people cannot just come in. If you're coming, please do not create a problem for the hotel. If you come in, just stay across the road. There is plenty of space and or on the sides of the hotel that it does not give the foundation as a group which create problems for them. That we can hold functions in this place. As I said, major diplomats and politicians who come to Rome, they use this place. As I said, the ex-Shah of Iran, this way out of Iran, whenever he was in Rome, stayed in this hotel.
So this would be like a showing of support rather than a protest. There's nothing to.
There is no protest. It's just that so many of you don't keep on going and asking if it's the Keshe Foundation here.
Right.
You will see the police force visible. It's the way it's been set up. We checked again today. Close protection officers are in hand because we are literally a stone throw from the American embassy, and the American embassy is very well aware of what is happening in the place. I think there'll be more CIA agents than other people in the hotel just to keep an eye. We've seen
lined up to get their power supplies.
Maybe, we don't know. But you have to understand, for example, on the meeting of the Hanover, we could have put seats up for offer people who can buy and attend, or at least would like to make a donation. We learned from the, what do you call it, the Hanover presentation, that the American government bought 180 seats in one go. They blocked it to show that there is nobody in the function. Out of the 500 seats, by the time they realized 300 and odd seats out of the 500 was sold within the first hours, and then they bought and they blocked it. The auditorium stays empty. The same thing we've seen. So this time is by the support of Keshe Foundation order. We are there to support the change, not to create mayhem. And if you see people who do, it's very easy for you to know who's who and where it is and why they are there for. As I said, inside or outside, give from your soul that we elevate the soul of the governments, because they are what we put into them, that they'll find out peace with themselves, that we find peace with mankind. That's the whole purpose, is not to give an energy unit, because the energy units will be out in no time. But if this time around we bring peace through the technology, this is what's the aim. There will be no discussion or presentation on the Saturday, because there is so much is lined up in meeting with different groups and the people who come to us. On the back of this, we already know a number of presentations in major governmental institutes have been booked. We announced it in the next 2-3 weeks. There are even trips set up on the back of this presentation by government organizations, which means we will teach through major operations in major scientific organizations. Tomorrow is not only the government, head of nuclear, head of space agencies, head of energy government organizations, head of the what you call peace negotiating groups have invited themselves, requested to be attended, and we have issued passes for them. It's more or less governmental and a scientific organization at the same time, because they are coming in to advise their government in what is to come. As I said, we've been told if she can arrive, the head of the Ghanaian Space Institute will be with us, and a couple of, or 2 or 3 of the head of the nuclear industries in Europe, they're attending, because they want to see how this energy system will affect the energy production of their countries. They have to, because it will change, and they have to understand what they have to decommission. We have the scientists from not very far from Italy who are shutting down their nuclear reactors. They want to see what's the next step. Let me explain something very simple. We are here to change the good way, but just have a little bit of patience, a little bit longer. We come a long way over 10 years. We start 5 executions and attempted murders and poisoning by the Belgians. Now it's time to go very smoothly in a way that we can collectively go, that we don't give room for these people to exist. Fighting takes time. Sharing the knowledge that we all understand, it's a new way that a lot of people have to understand. We've come a long way to learn, to share the way we are doing. When I started it, it was inconceivable. Now it has become a God-given right to share freely. As I said before, if any of you would have shared knowledge like this even 12 months ago, you would have been afraid you'd be losing something very precious. But for a lot of you now, it's just there to do because you see this the right, you receive it, you give it. Thieves by nature will stay thief by act. If you are there to share, you don't take and run and hide. You share, like what you're seeing from Singapore. We're seeing people from Philippines, we're seeing people from Nigeria, South America, from all over the world, sharing knowledge freely. So we have changed a lot of things, not in one nation and one group, but across the world. So it's us who have to teach by sharing it. But now we touch in so many ways whatever has been built in the past thousands of years, which is built on finance and give to take, has gone down the chute. It's finished. Energy has been used as a way of control. Food has been used as a way of control. Shelter has been used as a way of controlling human beings or nations. Now you all have it free. And this is a big change for a lot of people to understand. At this moment, we do not give units free to who asks. It's not your right. It's our right to give at this moment to bring a balance across. What we see, we've been correct up to now. We stay correct up to now as well. Don't come and ask, is my right to have a unit. If you have that audacity to ask, it's your right to go and teach yourself. It's everywhere. But if you want us to make it, and you want to have it, it goes the way we do it. We give to the ones who need more, not you trying to steal from the other people in your national, in nations, but not paying taxes, and staying home and not serving the humanity, thinking, oh, I've got a free bill, I don't pay. We haven't seen a single African writing says, it's my right giving it to Africa, because they know what they have is the habit of the Western world. We choose, we give when we think is right and to whom we think is right to give. When a priority for us sits the real needy in the West and the real needy in Africa. Because if you don't bring Africa up, they become a space agency before anybody else, then you will see the same abuse again. My target is to bring Africa in a powerful nation, in a powerful continent, that they're equal like the others. The way I said before, I don't take man into space to be the weaker, to become the servants of the universal community. They go in as equal. So to become as equal, you have to bring equality first at home, which is bringing Africa and South America in order, especially Indian and subcontinent India. It takes 3 to 6 years to do it.
What do you think will happen with the oversaturation?
There will never be overpopulation. We make everybody man of a space. Nobody wants to be here.
Right.
Have you seen, learn something very good. Have you seen how the pattern of tourism has changed in past 40 years? If you haven't, tourism didn't exist as such before 60s till the free cheap flight came. And then how did it happen? 60s, 70s, who had the money? If you were in the streets of Rome, London, Paris, Arabs, which now they came to a lot of money, oil went from $2.50 to $5, and the Japanese, because they became the industrial pack. Then they ran out of money, Japan went to recession. We had for a while another group. And then it came the Russian opening of the East and West. We said Russians and everybody everywhere, because they were the new tourists. The same buildings, they all came, looked at the Eiffel Tower and Tower of London, and we went to Rome and see the other things. Now, it's a new generation coming up, which is the rich Chinese. Wherever you go, it's buses. Only the tour operators, they changed the card, it's the same bus. It was Chinese, now it was Russian, and now we create a new generation. The total lot, instead of going to this total lot, they go to a place in a space. Man is a tourist. So you will see most of these tourists, sometimes they crashed on the plane, sometimes it was so good they found a girlfriend and boyfriend and stayed behind, but most went back. In this case, it's so nice and no one will come back. Would you like to live where it's so bad that you have to have a blue machine to feed you? Or you go somewhere that is fed freely and you can do whatever you like? So, overpopulation is understatement, will be lack of population. Because don't forget, as I always said, the farmer here in Italy is not much interested. If he was interested, he would have gone to see Rome. They've never been there. They don't care what happens in Rome. They're happy in their little village. Who goes out? Adventurers and the scientists. The biggest problem for humanity as one nation is to control who goes, because it will be populated. Something between 2 to 5 billion will leave within the first 20, 30 years. And now, when you have the second son coming, everybody goes. Even a farmer will become a nuclear physicist. Because if he doesn't, he has no farm. I wonder how much olive oil we can take out of Italy with us into space. So don't worry about it. You have a problem, and I've written about this. Lack of population will be the biggest problem. I explained this to a developed industrialist very recently. The rocketing prices. Once we show, today, we open the door tomorrow. We're showing this power unit and what it can do. And it only can do 2 kilowatts, but it gives you free on the other side. But when this becomes the flight system, you know how to use this end. You're not interested in this end of the dog. That's his tail. It's no good. The biting bit is this end. If you understand, I'm going to come this way. If you understand this end can give you everything you want, and you can make a spaceship to go out with it, you learn the time to come. This is your most dangerous part of this whole thing. Because food, energy, anything you want comes out without you putting anything in it. Then your problem starts. How to take what you like. And as I said, now for the first time, very soon, we'll create so much gold that nobody wants to rob the Central Bank of Syria anymore. I explained to a diplomat, the next plan is Central Bank of Tehran. And by releasing this technology and very soon showing the valuation of the gold, we save Iran from the mayhem they planned for it. So, any other question? I told you, this thing is blue, is the color of this planet, but it has two strings. You decide which side of the string you want to put in, or which side of the string you want to take out. And if you had the worries, it still jumps, no problem. But don't kick it, because then you have to replace it. You're happy? What are you feeding the ambassadors tomorrow? Don't forget we have a Muslim representation, no salami. Thank you very much for today. Give from your soul to the people who attend that we can change the course of humanity, and that's all that matters today. If you come, you have the dress. We have taken precautions. We stay alert. Officials of the Italian government stay alert because there are senior Italian politicians coming. So, in so many ways, we'll see what this brings, because they this time don't have 10 years, they have 10 days. Last time they took 2 years to share. This time, in 10 days, we release, and in a couple of 3, 4, or 5 weeks, we'll release the blueprint. We have a reason for it. We explain to it when you come. If this is a system and this is your fuse box, you come in before or after the fuse box, before your national grid meter. So you plug in, you plug end into the grid, into your house line. So anything you use in the house is done. Or you plug in to a plug and then use the other end as a multi-unit. You can do it both ways. This is what's going to happen. This is the connection. You can connect after the fuse box. Tell you something very important. You will see this when you get them. If you overload the system, you put too much resistive system on it, you'll find out the system doesn't work. You think you lost it. We don't show it, but internally in the system, we have put a safety switch, which means you have to wait till the overloading is finished. It takes half an hour, it takes half a day, it takes 2 days. But these systems have a beautiful property. Most of them is that I was explaining this to Armand last night. If you have made nanomaterials, when you make nanomaterials, if you, for example, nano-coat this material and then you scratch it off, you take your nano coating off by accident or rub it off, if this is your nano coating, it comes off. Because you have started the process of separation of gravitational magnetic field inside the copper, after a while, if this nanomaterial disappears, it grows back on again. If you overheat your system, that you blow up, you get a huge bang and a spark, and you see my system is blown up, don't do anything. Go for 2 days holidays. Take your system out and put it aside for 2-3 days. All it does, it needs to recoat itself. System goes back on again. These systems are, as far as possible, damaged. Unless you damage it beyond, you put a very high heat on it, that you literally disconnect the metallic connection. And if you could disconnect the metallic connection, you do not disconnect the coating. But if you create such a huge bang that the coating literally blows off, then you might have to replace it, or you allow it time to grow. And even if that happens, don't worry. All you need to do, if you can open the box, just where you see the problem, just put some caustic and let the nano coating to rebuild itself. You're back to the system again. This is a system for life. Some of you, unknowingly, you put the system down, the child upstairs put the heater because it's cold, and you hear a big bang. There is no fuse box. Wait a few hours, let it cool down. If it is, if the nano coating has blown up, you can just caustic it and it comes back. You haven't lost anybody. Don't beat the child, you destroy the system. Have the knowledge to understand the process. And if it doesn't come back, just put another piece of wire. You see, this totally melted or destroyed it with a high load, because we have tested these up to 7 kV on a special system and has lasted 54 minutes. 2 kilowatt, 2.5 kilowatts sometimes gives you a full continuous supply, no problem. Till we increase the power to unlimited. This is only for AC heat resistance or brush motors. If you have brushless motors, if you have LED lights, non-resistive, you can put 100 kilowatts, more or less, whatever you need. We don't know. You tell us 10 kilowatt, 20 kilowatt, you have no problem. As I explained, understand the problem is the system produces a continuous supply. You put a resistor, which means it has to reduce all its strength to a lowest order of magnitude, trying to get an elephant through a needle. It just takes time. You chop it up and little by little you put it through, but that's what it is. It creates a rush, it creates a traffic. We call it as a heat in the metal part, not in the nano part. So what happened, nano part cannot stand, it boils, it creates a spark, you lose your nano coating. Wait, if it doesn't work, if you open the unit, all you need to do, put a bit of caustic, and it comes back up again. Yes?
Once the whole house wiring becomes nano-coated, is there a need for the system?
No.
So,
but you have to understand, if your system can produce, there is a specific design. That's why this box behaves this way. It's not that you create so much nanomaterials, wires around the house, you get it. It's a specific way which has been designed and positioned. To you, it looks, but everything is pre-calculated. We always said nano-coated wires create power, but we are not creating power. This is back again, you're too materialistic. We are creating a condition of gravitational magnetic field forces. Because you create this, you don't depend on the wire. If this is unit, you have the blue unit. Because you create gravitational magnetic fields, you can feed. You understand? That's the purpose, not having a unit, having a wire connected. The unit will create a condition where the food, energy, shelter can be used from it. If I tell you what this does, you're all going to hang yourself. Why? For millions of years, you barbecue makers have done so much and never seen it. Armin, no use. You've got to close all the kebab shops. Yes.
So if we're taking two nano-coated wires, we're positioning one in one tube inside the nano-coated, and you fill that with the nano.
I don't know. Let us know.
I think we have the best connection.
I don't know. We are not looking for connection. You're still too materialistic. We are looking for fields. No problem. Thank you very much for today. We see you tomorrow in the presentation of the Third World Ambassadorial Meeting, and hopefully we change the course of humanity. Thank you very much. Thanks,
Great.
Vince.
Thank you, Vince.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Kesh.
tomorrow.
Great.
See you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Please send the, what do you call it, distributors at Spaceship Institute and the rest to Marco, that he can put it on the PowerPoint presentation for tomorrow.
Done. It's already been done.
It's gone there, okay. Thanks very much indeed. See you tomorrow.
Okay, great. Okay, that ends at least the first part of the 83rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop.